everybody to another episode of the Sounds of the Hardwood podcast. On today's episode, we'll be going over our biggest surprise teams, biggest surprise players, and then also our disappointing teams and players, as well as the new rule changes. How has that been affecting the NBA game so far, especially the games this week? Then last night with the Brooklyn Nets and their favorite player who loves that, or I say dislikes the new rule and likes the old rule. So how y'all guys doing today? Or I should say, how your weekend been going so far? Today's Saturday.
Good.
Pretty
Different day doing the podcast. A little weird, but still good.
And we look like he's from business today. He got a turtleneck on.
Nah, it's a thermal. It's cold.
But we're gonna start off this episode with our Pete. The only reason why I did that is because he's going through a lot with the 76ers. The Atlanta Hawks with Ice Trey's upset about his not getting those foul calls. So I figured it's only fitting to start off with a disappointment or surprising team and all players with Pete.
All right, so disappointing team for me is, and this is just my personal choice, I try to pick ones that I know maybe you guys won't touch because I don't want to get into the repetitive of everybody picking the same. I'm going Dallas Mavericks because I had the Mavericks finishing in my predictions third in the West, and there is no way, the way this team looks on both sides of the ball, that they're finishing third in the West. They're going to be lucky to even stay out of the play-in the way things are going, because Jason Kidd has this team kind of all over the map. Luka is having to do everything, and now that he already obviously was the focal point of the offense last year, but it just seems worse this year, where he's trying even harder to create tough baskets for himself and kind of forcing things from three a little bit more than he should. And Christoph Sporzingis, who I had faith in that, he would have a resurging season around like 18, 19 a game. He looks the same. He looks like he's not confident in posting stuff up. He's hurt now. When he was in there, it was just total mental lapses on defense, not looking confident on offense, from a shot selection standpoint. And then right now, like, the additions to the team really are Reggie Bullock, who is starting for Porzingis' spot, but he hasn't done much. And that's pretty much your main person that's key to the lineup, because Frank Ntilikina hasn't played a ton. He's playing shooting guard instead of point guard as more of a defender. But there's nobody else new on this team, so they kind of ran back the same starting lineup they've had the past 3 seasons, and it's showing where teams have figured that offense out, and they're kind of shutting it down. And then defensively, they just don't look good and shooting mid-range shots and set plays, and just Jason Kidd Mark Cuban has to be regretting the decision already. Yes, they're 3-2, but they should not be 3-2. They should be 1-4 right now. The way that they've looked, it's not looked good at all.
I think it should be 1-5. Honestly, the way that just the 15-man lineup thing killed me.
Yeah, that's another rarity. Like, nobody's ever seen that, and Jason Kidd's done out of the box things as a coach when he was with Milwaukee and Brooklyn, but not to this extreme. It's kind of like he's just searching for things at this point. And I don't think he's learned anything from the time that he was a head coach and being an assistant for the Lakers. And I don't think it's helped anything, because I don't see any adjustments to getting guys in key positions. Disappointing player. I'm going to go De'Aaron Fox because he's not shooting the 3 ball very well, and he's turning it over a lot. But, spoiler, my surprise team is Sacramento. And the surprise is because Luke Walton is still the head coach, because I thought for sure by now he'd be fired. But the surprise has been Harrison Barnes. I mean, he's playing like he looks like the Harrison Barnes that was at North Carolina, rather than the Harrison Barnes that's kind of been that role player since being in the league. Buddy Hield is knocking down shots efficiently. And then you have guys like Davion Mitchell coming in, and he looks confident. He's already a elite defender. And then once he gets a little bit more comfortable in offense and can pick his spots, it's going to be tough for the league. And then they kind of scrapped the big lineup, having Bagley in the rotation. They scrapped that to go small, and it's worked with Halliburton, Mitchell, and Fox kind of in the backcourt with a mix of Buddy Hield whenever he plays. And that's worked to their advantage. Yes, they're 3-2, but I kind of thought that they were going to be one of the bottom tier teams this season. And then the last two surprise player is Ja Morant. I figured he was going to be good and get most improved. That's kind of what I pegged him for. But I figured like 24 a game, like 9 assists, all-star game, not 30 points a game, elite looking offense, keeping his assists up. His turnovers could be a little bit better, but his shooting has been what's been surprising to me. 40% from three, along with it, and he's just efficient picking his spots throughout the game, and you could just see kind of how that's going well for him. So those are my picks.
Okay,
so
not too bad. It's like the surprise in Ja Morant. He's looking like I agree. He looks like an MVP, not just like a most improved type player.
Mm-hmm.
It's my turn, right?
Yeah. I was about to say, so what you got?
For surprising team, yeah. I'm gonna go with I think the Golden State Warriors, sitting at 4-1. I mean, I don't think nobody expected the Warriors to be, in the top of the,
in the West
in the list, sitting at 4-1. And you're getting Curry, who's playing like an MVP, averaging 30 and 8. But I think what's most surprising is the help he's getting from other role players, like Damian Lee and Poole. And then Damian Lee, he's shooting like 50%, 52, 53% from the 3-point line. So I think everybody is just executing their role perfectly. You got Iggy back, and even though people might say, oh, really, what does Iggy like? What can Iggy do? He does a little bit of everything, and that's what you need, from somebody coming off the bench. And they're only going to get better because Clay's return is bound to happen sooner, rather than later. So that's approaching really, really quick. It's going to be interesting to see how everything's going to play out. But nevertheless, they're sitting at 4-1. I honestly didn't expect them to be number one, number two. No, I'm sorry, they're number two because Utah is number one. My disappointing team, I try to see which one. I think I'm gonna go with the Phoenix Suns. At 1-3, they haven't after their great run in the playoffs last year, going to the finals and everything. A lot of people expected, all right, let's run it back.
That was your sleeper team last year too. I'm surprised.
Yeah, it was my sleeper team. Like last year, after when we did the All-Star break episode, I did pick them to either end up 1 or 2, which they did. But right now, it's just like maybe it's taking some time to get that chemistry back together. Chris Paul is struggling a bit, so yeah, I'm not too concerned. I feel like they'll turn things around, but to start off 1-3, I think they should have been 3-1, to be honest with you. They had a winnable game against Sacramento. They ended up losing that. They were able to beat the Lakers. I think, did they beat the Lakers? Yeah, they beat the Lakers, but then they got washed by Portland.
That's the only one.
Yeah. And then they got washed by Portland and also lost to Denver in the opener. So they're definitely my disappointing team. Now, my surprising player, I'm going to go different, and it kind of goes with Pete when he, chose the Sacramento Kings as most surprising team. My surprising player is Harrison Barnes. And nobody expected Harrison Barnes to start out the season scoring 25 points per game. And, not only that, he's really improved his 3-point shooting. And I think that's very key for that team. He's shooting 53% from the 3-point line, and to start off the season, 36 points, 25, 24, 22. Like, nobody expected that from Harrison Barnes. This is his 10th season. I don't think he's ever averaged more than 20 points per game. So
he's averaging 10 rebounds too, which is crazy.
Yeah.
What's crazy is Walton put him in a good spot though, because he's playing power forward now, which he has that speed advantage and quickness against other kind of power forwards. They kind of did it last year, but I think they should have scrapped Bagley last year at the deadline and then just ran with Barnes at power forward last year. It would have helped a lot, but good for him doing it this year.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like, he's comfortable where he's at right now, and, right now he's killing it. So that would be my most surprising player. My most disappointing player, you could go with the obvious one. I'm not going to name him. I'm going to leave that for Henry and Keem. I'm going to go with Russell Westbrook. Russ.
I was thinking that too.
Mr. Triple Double. All good in patting your stats, great, whatnot. But when you're averaging almost 6 turnovers per game, and when you're the point guard, and there's not enough ball movement, and you're just really struggling to, when you do decide to attack and whatnot, you can't even do that.
He looked his best without LeBron too. Like right. That was because that's not going to be a regular occurrence.
Yeah. So, to average a triple double, great, but to average a quadruple double with 10 turnovers, that's like a big yikes. And then I think the other game against Memphis, he had 9 turnovers. It's like, these are like, teams are going to execute on that, So it just hasn't panned out yet. I don't know if LeBron...
Now, what the resident Laker fan is going to say. They just need more time to gel with Westbrook, and we're going to see what happens. Let's give it 20 games and see what happens.
He does the same
I was waiting for it.
He did the same thing last year. He struggled like this, and then second half looked much better.
Here we go.
I'm gonna let Keem comment on that. But I mean, listen, it's not the panic button on the Lakers just yet. But just, because they're sitting at 3-3. So, but just the fact that here you have Russell Westbrook. I still consider himself a superstar, but he's shooting 20% from the 3-point, 50% from the free throw line. Like, you have to do better. And I feel like he plays with a lot of heart. And I saw the episode of Shannon Sharp with Skip Bayless when they talked about specifically that game where he got the quadruple double with the 10 turnovers against OKC, and it's like he plays hard. Yes, he does, but sometimes he plays too hard that it's like he becomes very clumsy, and teams are gonna pick him apart because of that. So sorry, Keem, but that would be my disappointing player to start off the season.
He's averaging. He's a point guard averaging 6 turnovers. I would say that's disappointing anyway.
Yeah.
From the free throw line, that's not good.
No, he's averaging 18, 8, and 8. Like, on paper, that looks amazing. Like, that's great. But when you add the almost 6 turnovers per game, it's like, yikes.
Yeah, I will say, though, like, because even though, and I'm going to defend Westbrook on this one, even though Westbrook's averaging that high in turnovers, so is Ja Morant for Memphis. But Morant just looks better because he's carrying the team with more flow, and I think that's the difference. It's the stop, and you can tell, like, Westbrook's overthinking it when he's trying to make a play. It's like, all right, I got to make a play for somebody else. It's like, dude, you just got to go in the flow of the game. Like, feel it out. If you feel like you need to attack, all right, then Anthony Davis is going to have to wait a possession. Davis is going to get his 25 touches or more, whatever. Like, that's where Westbrook's got to stop, is the hesitancy to say, all right, I got to get LeBron involved, I got to get AD involved, and just play your game. Like, and then the Lakers will be fine.
Right. You got to stop being so tentative.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna start off with my disappointments, because my disappointments ain't that crazy.
Go ahead. Say Russell. Go ahead. We in for it.
Nah.
The Laker fan don't never admit it. Go ahead.
My disappointing team is it's not the Lakers. It's the Pacers at
Oh no,
1-4.
yeah, that's a good one.
I know everybody's gonna say, "Oh, LeVert is out and T.J. Warren is out," but LeVert and T.J. Warren are not superstars. They're all-star caliber players. Well, T.J. Warren's an all-star caliber player. I think LeVert is an all-star caliber player. LeVert is like a star for them. T.J. Warren is like a role player for them. But to think that when those guys come back, oh, we're just going to be 100% fine at 1-4, I don't really think that's going to happen. I think there's some adjustment going on with the coaching philosophy difference of Rick Carlisle and what he wants for them offensively and defensively. I don't think the Miles Turner and Sabonis thing is going to work long term. I think it's just like a flash in a pan right now. It looks good because Miles Turner's shooting so well from three, but he's not a knockdown 3-point shooter when you're going to rely on him to shoot 40-50% from the 3-point line. He's more like a 30% 3-point shooter. So then once that comes back down again, then you got the same problem again. The two of them don't work together. Disappointing player, I'd have to, is Deandre Ayton. I know Soto said them as a disappointing team, but I think they're struggling because of Deandre Ayton. His production is down on every level, points, rebounds, blocks, to the point where it's almost like I don't know if he's upset because he didn't get that max contract extension.
I was gonna mention that, like,
what it is, but he does not look like the player he was last year. And if he doesn't get focused back to the player he was last year, then this Phoenix team is going to be bad, regardless of having Chris Paul on that roster. And it's going to make that contract extension for Chris Paul look worse. And how you going to trade a 37-year-old making $40 million a year? I mean, unless he's LeBron, I don't know how you're going to do it. But, good luck with it if that happens.
That's where Sarver forces that trade for Ayton, though. Like he's gonna say I'm not gonna pay him, and Ayton's gonna want to say, well, get me somewhere that I am gonna get paid.
Yeah. So they made choices. I mean, it wouldn't look as bad if Sark was healthy and playing, but
he's gonna be like even going into next season because his happened in the playoffs. So like going into next season, he may not even be 100% healthy in training camp, like all the way.
So that hurts because they don't really have a backup center. I think they wasted some money on Cameron Payne. I'm not disrespecting. I'm just saying I think they could have filled out the roster a little better. But,
and they're missing him because he's hurt right now. Yeah. And that's another thing. Like the flow of the offense is bad coming off the bench because Payne is not playing. And he's that change of pace guard from CP3. And then Elfrid Payton is just terrible. And so, I mean, you Knick guys know how bad he is.
He was awful with the Knicks. Let's not even get into
So, I mean, but it's no change of pace. It's like you're not going to shoot it. So, like, what pressure are you putting on the defense? You're not able to drive and score. So, at least Cam Payne can drive and has quickness, and it's just a different look. And they just look lost. But
we got to figure it out now. My surprises, my team is the Bulls. I mean, I didn't think it was going to work. I mean, they lost to the Knicks and then they beat some other bad teams, but at least the Knicks game was close. It wasn't like they played a decent team and they got blown out. It was a close game, even though Julius Randle was doing everything he could to help them win that game. But the Bulls are getting better, I think, when they get everybody, like the chemistry down with the new additions and they figure out what they're going to do with their bench. I think when Kobe White comes back, that's going to help because then you can play him and Caruso together. And he could focus more on scoring, and Caruso could be more like that defensive playmaking guard like he was with the Lakers. My surprise player, all right, I'm going to be a little former Laker bias. I'm going to say Kuzma because he shoots horrible from the field. He's not efficient at all. But if I would have told me that he was going to go and average 15 and 11 after he had the struggles he did the last two seasons with the Lakers, I'd have like probably not. But he's kind of rounded out of being like that third option for them on both ends of the court. He's playing much better defense than when he played with the Lakers because Kuzma and defense and Lakers didn't go in the same sentence. So he's rebounding better, he's defending better, and he's making some open shots, which takes the pressure off, Bradley Beal not having to average 30 this year. Mm-hmm. So I think that's been my two surprises, team and then players. Now, the newest thing that has come in the NBA is this foul call change. I feel like the NBA always changes foul calls. they tried to do the Dwayne Wade 1 year where it was like, okay, on a pump fake, you got to shoot it normal shot motion. You can't pump fake and throw yourself into players. We saw that didn't really work because players made a living off that. Curry was one of the biggest ones. He would pump fake, throw himself, and people get to the line on threes. And then you had Harden and Trae Youngs in the world who were the master at throwing themselves into players and getting foul calls. So the league this summer decided to say, okay, we're going to change the rule because we're tired of these players doing that and getting to the free throw line. But like always, NBA superstars find themselves a way to complain and make a narrative. Oh, my fault. I tweaked. Henry, your picks. I had a brain fart. I know I was having a brain fart.
No, go ahead.
Continue
what you're doing. I'll go after. It's all good.
No. I had a brain fart. You should. Because you know what? Honestly, you know what made me do it? This might have been the quietest you've been anytime we've done an episode. This is the quietest you've ever been. So I almost forgot. Because usually if somebody says something about Russell or the Knicks, usually you hop in hot. So that's on me.
You know what it was?
I forgot.
You know what it was? You know what it was? That you're so used to going last.
That's what I thought.
And then you were all right.
That's why I did it, because I tried to just keep the freshness of having a different order for once. It was no offense, Keem. I mean, what you're saying about I can listen. If you would have just talked about the rule thing, I would have just went into my picks.
I when Soto said it, I was like, I forgot that. But that's what it is. It's like I usually don't have to tell you to go. Usually you don't already went. I just sit back and let you go ahead. So Henry, you go for your
picks. Yeah, you go with your picks, and then you go first on the rule changes, since that way it goes transitions right in.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Go with your picks. That's on me.
I guess for me, I'll start with surprising players. I guess it's going to be two different teams that nobody really talked about. I guess Cleveland Cavaliers being 3-3, that was pretty shocker to me. I didn't think they would be. I thought they'd always be 0-6, but they're actually playing pretty good. A lot of their players are averaging double-digit figures. Mobley's playing good. Sexton's playing well. A lot of them are playing well. So that was pretty surprise to me. Even Markkanen was playing well. I know he had that highlight where he threw it down, and so I was like, I didn't expect that for him. So that was my shocker team there. Player, I picked him up in fantasy. He's been producing for me. Mo Bamba. Dude has been a beast. I know yesterday he had like 18 rebounds or something like that, and
18 rebounds.
Yeah, he's playing really well. He's averaging 2 blocks a game. I think he's averaging like 10 plus points and double-digit rebounds. So he's a surprise for me. I was pretty shocked for that. And for disappointing teams, I'm probably going to say the Pelicans, just because they touted their moves as getting Devontae Graham and Valanciunas in the trade, and Walker being one of the guys he is. A streaky shooter. He's been really streaky, and he's been killing me in fantasy, but I thought they would at least have a better record than what they have right now. But obviously,
and now Ingram is possibly hurt too.
Yeah, they're 1-5, so that's hurting them, and that's not a good look for them. Obviously, when they were touted to be probably a team that's contending for a playoff spot, I'm not going to say they're going to be like I think they were in the 6 to 8 range, maybe even in the play-in, but. For me, I'm just not surprised. Obviously, Zion's current weight issue being 318 pounds from what I last heard. I'm sure he probably lost some weight since there. But hopefully, that team gets it together soon. I know they got a new coach, and it takes time to get things together. But, man, I didn't think it was going to be like this. And then disappointing player, the man who never shuts the hell up and thinks he's a freaking philosopher, Michael Porter Jr., for that contract he got to be playing the way he is, no, that's not going to work. I'm just going to be honest with you.
I think we could somewhat agree he was somewhat overpaid there.
Well,
a lot overpaid to me.
Listen, right now, I'll read you his stats right now. For the regular season, I know it's just the beginning. The most points he has scored is 15. Every other game after that, he has been inefficient. He went 5 of 12, 1 of 6 from 3, 3 of 11, 3 of 9, and 1 of 5. He's averaging.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Pete. Go ahead.
I was gonna say he still has that. You know how he has the drop foot.
Yeah.
And so he still wears the kinetic tape to get his. It goes on his shoulder to signal down his back to get his feet, like to be able to move, to trigger a response. And I'm like, so I guess the team's not worried about that medically, but I would be, because what if he takes a bad bump and tweaks that back somehow, and then that makes it worse for him as far as staying healthy long term.
Yeah,
that is a lot of money. You already got Murray, who you don't know how effective he's going to be coming back.
right.
That's
Jokic just got hurt.
Yeah, you could see where Jokic just got banged up too.
Just for me, it's just like I don't think like somebody is averaging 12 points a game, basically shooting 36% from the field, which is awful, and not even 30% from three. And he's 6'10", so he's only giving you 5 boards and 2 assists a game. Like you're paying somebody $207 million contract to give you mediocre stats like that. That's a little bit of a red flag and a little bit scary for me, I think. So I know obviously they don't have Murray, but they still have Jokic and they still have other pieces on that team that are contributors. So I just don't understand where his inconsistency is coming from, especially somebody who says he lives in the gym and practices, but then can't keep his mouth shut on social media. So I guess what it is.
You could throw his forward mate in there too, because Aaron Gordon ain't doing nothing special. He averaged like 10 points.
How much he got? 5 years, 90 million.
He faded away last year, though.
Towards the end,
after he got traded,
5 years, 90 million for him, and that was a stretch too.
So when I was mentioning like my disappointing player, which was Westbrook. Sorry, Keem.
You took that from me. So I'm a reporter.
I mentioned. I was like, I'm not going to mention a certain somebody, which is kind of obvious, which kind of ties into our next topic. I for sure thought either Keem or Henry was going to say James Harden.
I left it because I figured somebody else was going to mention it. So
I didn't want to go with the most obvious. I'm like, I think for this podcast, I was just like, my goal, that's why I haven't talked much, is I was trying to like do research and just think of players, because some of you guys said guys I was going to use. So I had to just go into my bag and think about things. So I was thinking about who we could have that we could all like discuss and have a different. So I was like, let me get a different play. I didn't want to go the most obvious, James Harden, even though he did have a better game yesterday.
He hit the strip club, so he was good.
But just the fact that he's averaging like career lows and like free throw attempts, everything, 3-point shooting, everything. I was just like, all right, somebody's bound to mention him.
He might need to lay off the McRib a little bit, so it's all good.
That's the most disgusting thing ever put on the Donald's menu.
He looks a little bit like he's shedding some weight or whatever. I think now it's the confidence. I don't think that hamstring is 100%.
That's what I was going to say.
And it's the confidence of he knows it's not 100%. So he's like, all right, if I do my regular moves and draw contact, what if I tweak it and I'm out for a month? Like, so he's playing that hesitant game of, all right, I can't take the same kind of contact if I'm not getting the fouls I normally get. Now I really got to sell it and make contact, and I can't. And that's where I'm at. And the rest of the team, like Blake Griffin looks washed, like he did in Detroit all over again. Like, I mean, thank God for LaMarcus Aldridge, because otherwise their big men rotation would just stink all the way around.
Yeah.
Nash's rotations are not that great.
He looks lost out there. I ain't gonna lie to you. Nash looks lost.
No, he does. He does.
He's trying to play too many guys. Well, he has to play because the egos of that team. He's like, all right, you have to play. So it's like, how do I fit Millsap in to this many minutes? How do I fit Blake Griffin without pissing him off? Like, they built too many players where it's not enough complementary guys to go with big alpha guys, and the alpha guys they have were alpha guys 3 years ago, not now.
It's
3 years too late. Now all they need is Russell Westbrook for a Kyrie Irving trade, and they'll be good to go with the alpha guys that try to do too much. Isn't that right, Keem?
I would take Kyrie because Jeannie Buss, I feel, would let him play in a way.
Right.
She wouldn't be like the Nets owner.
It's going to be the Oklahoma City Brooklyn Nets. Oh God.
Hey,
no, I don't know. Because to me, Brooklyn's disappointing.
It is
for what they should be.
I was thinking
even without Kyrie.
I was thinking that too. I just didn't want to say. I want to go in a different direction. But yeah, Brooklyn looks.
They should honestly be like 5-1 right now.
When it comes to the Nets, I just laugh. I laugh when it comes to the Nets. I ain't gonna lie. I laugh.
Listen, there's a problem in the NBA when the Nets look awful and the Knicks look like one of the
No, because the
professional
Knicks.
team.
You
Here's
had
why.
to mention
Here's
the
why.
Knicks
No,
right
here's
in
why.
there. Huh?
I'm gonna defend the Knicks for the first time in
No, I'm
forever.
serious. I'm just saying,
It's
like, the
because
Nets are a better team than the
the
Knicks, but
Knicks
when the
have a
Knicks was
better
better than
team.
them.
Like
No,
the Knicks have a better team. The Nets have the better stars.
Correct.
Right,
Like
correct. The balance for the
the
Knicks is
balance for
better.
the Knicks is better. The
But-
Nets went out. My fault. So go ahead.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna throw this in there just to throw in some balance. I'm not fully sold on the Knicks just yet
No, me neither.
because in like 2 or 3 of the victories, they struggled to close the game out. And it's like, DeRozan, he had a bad look. If it would have been Levine, like there were two games where they were up by 10 with like a minute something change, and they almost let it slide. So
I got a point to add too when you're done.
and
about
then
that too.
in close moments, I've seen that like when they're inbounding the ball, they struggle to inbound the ball for some reason.
Yeah,
so it's
that
like
possession where they gave
so
up
it's
a
like
couple
little
yeah.
it's like little mistakes like that. It's like yes, they're a good team and they're heading to the right direction, but it's like when it's time to like close out the games, that's like where they need to execute.
Well, that's what I was going to get into. For me, from what I've noticed in just watching them, because I had to watch them on the thing, because obviously I can't watch the Knicks this year because Comcast decided to get in a dispute with MSG, but that's another story. Yeah, I don't have them this year, so it pisses me off. But besides the fact, from what I've seen with Randall and stuff like that, I feel like the ISO Randall thing sort of brings me reminiscences of Carmelo Anthony with the Knicks when the ball used to die in his hand. And I think that sometimes they get too comfortable with giving him the ball and doing that. And sometimes I wish he would just move the ball more, or he would just not shoot it and give them that, because I feel like that what kills them. Like his efficiency has been down this year with stuff. And I feel like that ISO ball doesn't work. Like isolation works once in a while, but then again, like another player I need to mention that I think has been a little bit disappointing, but looks like he's starting to bounce back a little bit. It was Damian Lillard. I think he's been struggling immensely this year.
Don't mention Damian Lillard.
No, he has been struggling. Look at his 3-point
He's on my fantasy team. He's selling me. I don't want to hit him right now.
Yeah, he's shooting not even 30%.
He's got that abdominal injury that's basically, so anytime you go up to shoot in your shooting motion, you got to use those muscles.
Yeah, but I look at Dame as a player that evolved his game though, even though he's struggling a little bit this year. But Dame was a guy that when he first started playing, he did a lot of ISO, but then he evolved to like off ball and doing things like that. I think if Randall could incorporate some parts of that and not do completely ISO and sort of have the stagnant offense like when we had it with Carmelo with the Knicks, I think they'll be a lot better off. Because I think that game that they almost lost to the Bulls, I noticed a lot of time Randall would hold the ball. Or
Not only that, like just real quick, sorry. There was like 3 or 4 straight possessions where Randall was being guarded by Lonzo. And he tried to back down Lonzo, and Lonzo stripped him every single time.
That bully ball.
And I was just like, really? Like, but
he forgot Lonzo's almost the same height as him and has that long wingspan.
Yeah,
ain't gonna work.
Yeah. He's got to that's just trust. Once he gets used to, okay, I got other guys that can score. RJ's been playing well. He's got Kimba there now. He got Fournier. There's other people that can score the ball just with him, but that takes time.
But with RJ though, I feel like he's relegated now to like the 4th option, and I'm a little worried long term for the season about like him, Quickly, Burks, like their fits, because they come in like Burks and Quickly are like the guys that come in instant offense, and it's like, well, now you got Derrick Rose coming off the bench. He's got to get his points. Like, where are these guys going to find their points? Randall's dominating the offensive possessions otherwise. Like, so where does Barrett really get comfortable where he's not, all right, I haven't shot it in 9 possessions down the court. Now I got to find my spot. And he bricks a, wide open 3 because now you got Fournier in there taking shots. So it's kind of like, I worry just a little bit about one of those guys is going to get knocked down a peg. And it's like, then you're hurting their value long term as far as having a piece, like especially Barrett, because you obviously went Barrett long term versus Fournier long term as far as the franchise, and it's kind of like you gotta find a way to balance. All right, Fournier, you got to take a step back tonight. Let's let Barrett kind of have a little bit more touches, and as a veteran, he should know that.
I think Barrett has compounded that with his defense. I think he's focused the extra energy on playing defense, which has allowed him to get some steals, some contested shots, which allows him to get out and run. that second unit, or even when Randall gives the ball up to Kimba and lets him push it, they play much faster than when they do the like ISO Randall thing. So I think that allows Barrett to get those quick threes in transition. It allows him to get those open court opportunities, and especially a guy like Toppin has feasted off of when he comes in, he can get up and down the court and run like that.
Yeah.
When they change that different pace when Derrick Rose and Quickly are in the game. Burks is just injury. He got to find his spot again because he had so much time when he's out. But like Soto and Henry both said, the ISO Randall thing did bother me a little bit, but that's going to take time. And then Pete, when you said about the Nets, I mean, I don't think they took that in consideration, that this is not, 2012 Millsap and LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin. This is the current day version who wasn't playing on the Nets, who with the Spurs didn't want to play the 5 because he doesn't like shooting jump shots. And then Blake Griffin, who forgot how to play basketball altogether when he was in the Detroit Pistons. So
and their offensive rating is 27th in the league, and you've got Durant and Harden on your team. That can't happen.
Steve Nash looks like the guy at McDonald's when the manager don't show up. They take him off fries and say, "You got the store today."
Oh man,
he looks lost.
I don't know why they're not playing. So you got Javon Carter as the backup too, right? So and Ben Brees playing the backup wing. Why not just put Cam Thomas out there for instant offense when you need, like, if Harden doesn't have it, put him out there. The worst he can do is shoot the ball. Like,
it's
like at the end of the day, it's not. You're already struggling on offense anyway. So maybe 3 or 4 of those shots go in.
Because when you watch the local Nets broadcast, right, and they talk about him, they say the immediate first thing they say is, "Oh yeah, but he's not great defensively." And I sit there and go, wait a minute, time out. There's a whole bunch of plays to a point that's not great.
Yeah, like half the team's not good defensively, so that's not going to hurt anything.
It'd be funny, but
where would they be without Patty Mills though? Because Joe Harris has looked MIA. Like, I mean, it's rough, and I'm a Brooklyn fan. Like, I'm not a big, I've never been big on Kyrie or Blake Griffin, but outside of that, like, I like Durant and Joe Harris and all that. They just look like this team is destined for the trade deadline, and a bunch of moves are going to have to happen along with the buyout candidates. Like, the team come playoff time is going to be reshuffled, I think, because they're not beating Milwaukee.
Oh no!
Like, there's no way. Like,
this is looking like countdown exit James Harden.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, that's one thing we didn't touch on. Good point. Like, James Harden didn't sign that extension. Yeah. And he's saying, "Oh, I want to be back here. I want to be back here." But what if they get bounced in the second round? Like, why would and somebody throws an offer to him and says, "We want you to be the star of the team."
And not only that, he's never tested free agency, so he might be, Ben Simmons. Right? He's never tested free agency, right?
Daryl Morey's gonna finesse it. He's gonna sign and trade Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I don't think he's had free agency, no, because he got traded from OKC and then
got traded to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So he might be like, all right, let's test things out,
Yeah. One guy we did not touch on as a surprise, I think, that's been really good. And Henry, I know you were going to mention him, Miles Bridges.
Yes.
Really good season so far. What is he? I had it and I clicked off of it.
I'll tell you right now. I had it earlier. It's averaging 26 points a game, shooting 51% from the field, almost 37 from 3. Yeah. 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals a game, and just under a block.
That's been his key. The outside shot opened up his game because his ability to get to the basket and run the open court was always there. He just wasn't a great outside shooter. I know you should tell that to B because B's a big Miles Bridges guy. So I used to always go, like, if he gets an outside shot, he'll be there. So he finally got one.
B's also
he's got a point guard
too. Don't forget
with LaMelo. So that works.
Yeah, if he can, he goes up and PJ Washington falls off a cliff. So
that's Brittany Renner's fault, though.
Yeah, word.
Yeah. Yeah. That's tough. Oh man.
That's not his fault. Stepdaddy season got him. We out here like,
Oh man.
Facts.
You gotta.
Oh.
That is straight facts.
once you
Oh.
get it together,
That's all right. Hey, I would say this: since he likes Miles Bridges, why don't they just the Knicks send his other boy, B's other boy, over there, and they can have them together, Kevin Knox.
Oof.
I even
Kevin
forgot
Knox
he-
is going to be playing over in Turkey before too
Word.
long.
I forgot he was still on the team.
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah.
He's
He's
right.
what, the
he's
fourth
like
string
Theo
power
Pinson
forward
right now.
or third string power
basically.
forward?
He's the invisible sixth man from that movie that happened
He's
a
there
long
for
time
moral
ago.
support.
He's there from.
Yeah.
He's
What if that
the what's his
happens?
name? Theo Pinson.
No, you know what's crazy?
Yeah.
He's the third string power. Well, third string power forward, but he's the fifth string small forward.
Yeah, he doesn't play. Well, Tibbs hasn't played him as small forward because he figured out he couldn't shoot or do anything else. So
I don't think he's
that's
played.
tough.
I don't think he's played at all this year.
No, he hasn't.
So far.
Yeah,
mm-mm.
he was supposed to play on the G League roster. Summer League roster, but he was hurt. Or COVID.
Even
correct.
Wayne Selden got
COVID.
1 minute so far.
Correction. He did play 4 minutes with the Magic, and he had 1 assist, and that's all he has this whole
Oh, the
year.
game that he won by like 30 that game.
Yep, he's played.
Okay,
He's only played 4 minutes this year, and
But
has 1
but
assist.
he has 1 assist and 1 turnover and 1 personal foul.
Yeah.
I mean, he got some stats, right? He ain't like Avery Bradley play a whole game. Then
He has the Tony Snell stat line.
He'll be
Oh,
traded
yeah.
for sure this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope he finds some way.
Somebody will take a gamble on him because he's still young.
Well, because if the Knicks are still top tier in the East, they're going to want to build come trade deadline to get that extra piece to have for the playoff run,
Mhm.
and so he'll be probably packaged in something that can help salary wise to get like
It would probably be
a
like
bigger tier guy.
Knox and a draft pick.
something like I don't even think at this point like if you're the Knicks you want to give a draft pick away. Like it's like
Yeah,
just
you
take
don't
him
have
for a
to.
second rounder, like something. Like just to
Anything.
shed salary.
Whoever wants him at this point.
Word.
But
Yeah.
all right, now I can move to the rule change. I forgot about Henry earlier, but we
How
we
dare
got
you.
him talking again, so I can move to the rule change. Now, I was gonna go first, but I'm gonna let the person whose not his hometown team, his current resident team
Oh God.
is a big advocate of hating this new rule change, and that is Mr. Trae Young, Ice Trae himself, who recently was fined $15K for his rant about not getting foul calls anymore.
Part of the
James
game?
Harden last night, on the other hand, got 19 free throws off of getting the foul call that he's not supposed to be getting.
No, I didn't get a chance to watch the game. Were they actual legit fouls, or was he getting those ticky-tack fouls that?
It was a combination.
There was a mixture, yeah.
It was a
Okay.
combination. Some were fouls and some were a ticky-tack. But it got to the point where, like usual, James Harden, you really can't guard him because you're going to get called for a foul.
Yeah.
So
Right.
he pretty much was able to dominate the ball. And then the whole Kevin Durant should have been ejected controversy because he threw the ball in the stands accidentally. But back to the
How do you accidentally throw the ball in the
he was trying
stands?
to throw it at the backboard and he threw it too high and it went over. Kind of like how Randall tried to throw the ball up in the air and it went in the stands kind of thing. But yeah, But using Pete, well, how do you feel about Mr. Ice Trae's campaign, or I should say his protesting of not getting his normal foul calls?
I mean, I like it for the league standpoint because I think it's a better game to watch, like overall, because you're not getting the ticky-tack fouls, the stoppage, the free throws that take forever to drag the game out, and it just breaks up the flow of the game. In Trey's case, he's actually found ways to score where he's not getting that little crab dribble into like a stutter step and the guy fouls him from behind. Like he's not doing that as much. So he's found other ways to kind of get points or make assists. I feel like he's saying that because as the season goes, like some of the stuff that he's doing, teams will figure out. So he'll have to resort back to the drawing the foul thing. But it hurts more for James Harden because James Harden's been so used to those phantom fouls, even with the step back threes. And overall, the league is down 19% in the free throws per possession league wide. So I just feel like it's a better flow. But at the same time, if you get guys like Trae Young or James Harden, if you get guys like a Damian Lillard, like guys that are struggling because they normally score a certain way, coming out, the more advocates you get that are the lead tiers of teams, the more the league's going to kind of say, all right, well, we could probably let that one go. Let's call that a foul. Like, because we don't want to lose too much viewership. And I think that's going to hurt them because like so many people enjoy it. And some players, even like Kyle Kuzma, came out and said that they enjoy watching the game the way it is now.
He did. I know Trae Young is struggling though. I know he's shooting, I think actually he's shooting 30% from three. So that might be why he's bitching about.
But he struggled last year from three because if you remember the second half of the season, he shot 32, close to 33% from three the second half of the season. And then with the team, like Herder's struggling, Bogdanovich is struggling, like those, like the only one that's really looked consistent. I mean, he had one game where he shot okay, but he didn't get a lot of touches. But Cam Reddish, but outside of that, like they're relying more on like John Collins, DeAndre Hunter's defense, like things like that to get wins. But now teams are kind of figuring out their offense, just like a Nate McMillan team has always been. By year two, teams figure out what they run, and then they shut that team's offense down. And so I do worry, though, and that's why Trey brought it up. If I can't get these fouls, where's this offense going to come from? And if I'm not this dynamic scorer or play like fake out the defense that I am going to score and play make, then how's this team going to win? Because that's what it comes down to. Like, because in all honesty, to me, the Knicks have looked better. Miami's looked better. Milwaukee's looked better. Like Atlanta falls in that 5-6 tier. That means you're out in the second round potentially. And then like expectations fall short. Atlanta's like, oh, here we go. We better win this World Series because otherwise we're going to be the disappointing city again that never wins anything. And so, that's how they feel about the Hawks. They already don't support the Hawks as it is. Like me, I'm from Philadelphia originally, so I don't count. But like actually native born like Atlanta area residents, a lot of them just like, I'm not going to the Hawks games. Like, who cares? And, it's like, okay, you had your best season last year. You've had in decades. Like, and you still don't support?
Since Joe Johnson.
Yeah. So I don't know. But I mean, I like it. I like the way the game is right now. We'll see how long it lasts, though. It's like a 2K patch. You get the beginning of the season where the game's great, and then you get that one patch that defense just falls off a cliff, and you don't ever see it again, and the game's totally different. So,
got you. So Soto, Soto would be next.
Yeah, Soto's next.
Much to what Pete said, I agree on. Like, I'm loving the pace of the game. Like, it's fast, it's quick. Players are gonna, take hits, like Pete just mentioned. Trae Young, whose free throw attempts have cut down in half. They went from like 9 to like 4. Same thing with Harden. And then others have expressed in favor, like Kuzma. He tweeted out, the new rule changes to the sport are the best thing the league has done in recent history. Watching the game is much different, which is true. So like I'm all for this rule change. Listen, if you have a problem with it, then you're gonna have to adjust. You have to learn how to adjust and come up with different ways to like draw fouls if that's your game. So, which is kind of like what James Harden did in last night's game, where he shot what? He made 19 free throws, something like that.
19. Yeah.
So Trae Young has to live with it and try to do the same. I mean, listen, it's all part of the game now. So yeah, you just have to you're gonna have to adjust.
Gotcha. All right, so that brings us to the end now. Let's let you, Henry. You next up.
I'm not going to really touch too much on it. I just think that pretty much everybody's saying is true. I think change the pace of the game is good. I think get rid of that crisscross applesauce bullshit that players used to do. I think a lot of the fouls not being called are good for the game. I think that a lot of times players jumping into things and initiating the contact and doing that, I thought that was complete bullshit. It's not really basketball. trying to get that. Like, I mean, if you want to get a foul call, offensive charge, then you do a charge. You do the traditional fouls, not throwing your body into a player or trying to kick him and do all this craziness just to get an offensive foul. I know Harden shot those crazy amount of free throws yesterday, but his stat line is just to show you that how the new rule is really affecting him. Is he's shooting 37% from the field and 36 from three, which is, not really hard numbers. And not only that, he's averaging 19 and 8 and 7. So, I mean, the other numbers are still consistent with he averages, but the scoring is way down. I think Trae Young is, like Pete said, just going to bitch and moan about it just because eventually teams are going to figure out what he does, that little floater and everything. Eventually they're going to know how to play it and be able to contain him and probably other players. I don't really think the rule really hurt Curry too much because Curry pretty much is an elite shooter, so he could shoot from anywhere on the damn court.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. He had that in his repertoire because I know he used that. I've seen him throw his
body.
Yeah,
he tried it in preseason, and that wasn't flying. So what did Curry do? He adjusted.
Yeah, you got to adjust. I think that these players that are bitching and moaning and relying on that need to just stop. Because I know another player that used to do it too. And I know Keen probably going to get upset from me saying, but LeBron also used to do it too.
LeBron don't get a foul call even if he don't flop. He got a flop regardless. Even if he don't flop, he don't get a foul call.
All right, this is where I'm going to do the emphasis. His nickname is Lee Flop, okay?
You have to. The man goes to the basket almost every possession, be shooting like 6 free throws in a game. I'll be sitting there going, okay, so Giannis get like 20, LeBron get like 6. I'll be confused. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but Giannis is trying to – same thing. Like Soto's adjust. Giannis is trying to adjust too. He's not only trying to go into paint. He's trying to shoot the ball, trying to get the consistent jump shot, like any player in the NBA, you got to adjust. So, I think that rule, I think, should have been done a long time ago when the players were at the peak of doing it. But I'm glad that right now, like Pete said, is down, 19% or something like you just said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 19%.
There was a variation of it. The whole D-Wade rule was supposed to be like the first attempt at it of saying you can go up and draw a foul, but it had to be a natural shot motion. But they weren't calling it. So then players were doing what they're doing before, and then they had to make another rule now to really specify, okay, this is what we meant when we meant natural shot motion. So the refs have something they can go back to and refer to call it.
I will add one more point. I think it is a good rule, and I think there is probably going to be more rule changes coming at the end of the season just for different things. A la Ben Simmons, Zion Williamson rule. I think that's going to be the next one that's going to be focused on at the end of the season.
Okay. What rule is that?
About players signing, what is it, the Supermax with their teams?
Yeah, the Supermax and then being traded.
And then getting traded. So what they're going to say is that if you sign the Supermax, this is the proposal that if you sign the Supermax with your team and then request a trade, you have to forfeit 30 to 40% of your salary back to that team.
I'm just saying, in case somebody, for the viewers that may not.
Yeah. Which I agree with because I think it's sort of a cop out. I mean, you can cop out, like you could ask for a trade, whatever, but don't sign the extension with the team and then screw the fan base over and screw the team over for the next couple of years. Just be a man about it. You don't want to play. You don't want to play for your damn team. Don't sign the damn extension.
Look, this is not what I signed up for.
And that's saying something. That's saying something to Zion. Zion, if you don't want to play for the Pelicans, don't sign the extension, bro. Just become a free agent.
It'll be interesting to see if Simmons come December 15th, if they're just waited out and then say, all right, let's see what offer we get at December 15th. Or by that point, he's gone through the mental health stages and he feels like, he's going to get onto the court because Morey is saying that he's not going to trade him until he's back on the court and can get more value. But at the same time, I feel like even if he played like all-star level again, right off the bat, like teams are still going to be hesitant to trade major superstar assets because what if he does that to them? Like, what if he says to them, all right, this isn't working after 6 months. I need a mental health break again. Like, I can't do this, whatever. And then they've sold off, like, not that it's going to happen, but for example, like a Damian Lillard and 2 or 3 picks. Like, what if you did that?
You mortgage
trade
the farm for yourself,
like that doesn't make sense for any team that's getting them. So
I think they're gonna heavily revamp the rules. I think they're gonna try to close a lot of those loopholes. And I will say this, and I'll throw this out there just as a person that's dealt with mental health and worked in mental health. So if Ben Simmons is using the mental health thing as a cop out to get paid and everything like that, that is going to come to bite him in the ass big time. Not only by the fans and by everybody. That's gonna be bad for him. So I hope that he's legit having mental health issues and getting better and getting the treatment. But if he's not and it's just like a cop out just to get paid, I'm telling you that's gonna end really bad for him. And any team that gets him it's gonna be like a Deshaun Watson thing, a walking cancer. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I forgot Deshaun Watson is still out here in these streets.
Yeah.
But for the rule change, it's either you got to call it or don't call it. That's what is like kind of annoying. Is like even throughout the course of a game, sometimes some possessions the refs will call it, and then some possessions they don't call it. So I think once either they decide, all right, we're gonna call it every time, or the refs get used to that this is a foul call now. I mean, not a foul anymore to not call it. You know, you gotta give it that time. Like I've been saying, I think the players have to adjust. I mean, you kind of been abusing the rule. It was like it was fun while it lasted. It was like you've made a career out of doing it to this point, especially Trae Young. He was like against the Knicks, he made a living off of doing that. Going in the lane, just stopping and just throwing a shot up because somebody gonna run into the back of him. You've already made you've been an all-star out of that. You made it to the NBA, the Eastern Conference Finals off of doing that. I think you could dial it back and put something else in the bag and figure out what you could do moving forward. To piggyback off what Pete said about the Hawks with their struggles with Nate McMillan, I know it's not a topic, but it was just something that piqued my interest. It's similar. I think they're similar like with Utah. They have a lot of solid role players, like how Utah has, Joe Ingles, Bogdanovich, Jordan Clarkson, and then the Hawks have their group of role players. I think at some point in time they may have to consider in packaging, like 2 or 3 of those guys and try to get another star to try to take that next step. It's nice having them, but in a playoff series, you rather have one guy that can get you 20, 25 rather than 3, 4 guys that's only going to give you 10 points a game throughout a series because that hurts you. And I think that's what Utah's problem is. I think that's what Atlanta's problem is going to be long term. They don't have enough offense outside of Trae Young and Collins, just like the Utah Jazz ain't got enough offense outside of Donovan Mitchell. I almost said Rudy Gobert's offense, and I forgot.
I saw somebody said Rudy Gobert. I forgot who it was. What main site said?
It's ESPN.
Was it?
Yeah.
That he should be MVP, like leader for MVP. I was like, wait, what? It's like,
I think it was ESPN, I believe so.
I guess. ESPN, I think they just be trolling at this point. They trying to get their headlines.
It was one of those. It was ESPN, or I forget one other one, but they said Rudy Gobert was in the lead for MVP already. I think I was drinking something. I think I spit out my drink when I saw that.
That's funny. But like,
what do you expect from ESPN? It's like Stephen A. Smith when he goes on First Take. One day he'll say LeBron is the best player on the planet. Next week he'll say Kevin Durant is the best player on the planet. Then the week after that he said
Giannis.
It's Giannis. Like, make up your mind.
Perkins.
I will say the Malika Andrews show, like that's been good. Like good, like unique, like different analysis, and then you get like she's good as a host. Like it's definitely turned around from Rachel Nichols and just that kind of like stale flow. I'm curious to see how JJ Redick's going to look if he's allowed to be unfiltered, because he kind of comes with speaking his mind sometimes too.
This podcast, he's like that.
And then he's able to break down X's and O's that's like easy for anybody to understand. So as long as they don't censor him and things like that, like, because the worst thing you could do is have a guy like a Kendrick Perkins where it's like you toe the company line, but you got to still come with some hot takes. And it's like, all right, you can't do both.
Him and Richard Jefferson sometimes make me want to cringe because I'm like,
no, I just think K Perk is just he's not a good analysis person. I just don't think he's good. I think somebody like JJ Redick is probably going to be better. Like Pete, I do think they will censor him though because they did to Paul Pierce. And look what happened with Paul Pierce.
Well, ain't nobody told Paul Pierce be on the ground with them strippers. Ain't nobody told him.
Oh, nobody told that. That's
paid
that's the next part I was going to get to. He did that, but they did censor Paul Pierce.
ESPN is owned by Disney. That is a kids channel. Granted, you got people posting their little girls out here twerking on TikTok, but that does not mean that you can do a whole video promotion.
No, I agree. But my point is, like, Paul Pierce was one that was very free spoken when it came to being given analysis points.
Yeah, but even when he was doing analysis, though, he kind of towed the line too. Like So it's kind of like you didn't get the Paul Pierce you would get on like the Instagram lives and stuff like that. Obviously, it'd be different. And I think anybody's like that. But like when you get down to it's watered down and it's like, all right, what are we really getting out of this? Because you have to have an X's and O's guy. You have to have a comedy relief guy. And you have to have a guy that can kind of keep it all together and keep everybody on flow. I just, I like what Malika Andrews has been able to do. Like, she doesn't feel like uptight and stiff. And like, I kind of feel like they have like that segment with Woj where they have him, and I still feel like he's stiff on camera. And I'm like, they got to have somebody else that could be like a newsbreaker that's like easier going. You even get like Chris Haynes is stiff.
They should just get Shams.
Woj is serious all the time.
He's stiff too, though. Like Shams is kind of like
Shams
he doesn't feel like
Woj.
he's confident enough to be there.
He tries to sound like Woj sometimes. It's not to sound like
Who, Shams?
Approach, yeah. It's like sometimes the two of them are like.
But Shams seems he seems more personable than Woj, though. Woj seems sort of like close guarded, and Shams is a little bit more free willed.
Yeah. But anybody have any closing thoughts?
I'm waiting for you to say your Lakers in 5.
The Lakers in 5 is always there, but that's not a closing thought. I mean, I could say that every episode, but that ain't a closer. I like to give y'all your shine, your one mic opportunity to talk about anything, whether it's sports related, non-sports related, whatever the case may be.
Fix your damn game, 2K. How about that?
Oh no. He took the tweets that get crickets from Baluba, and now he brought them live.
No, why'd you do that? Baluba never gonna answer you.
He don't answer.
He don't answer nobody. He answers. He's Casper the friendly. He's Casper the friendly fucking ghost. He disappears.
You gonna get blocked out here in these streets.
Yeah.
He gonna block you.
Let his stupid ass block me. He gonna listen. I'm gonna say this. I do hope that Grand Theft Auto coming to the Xbox Game Pass is a sign that Take-Two Interactive is getting bought by Microsoft, because I feel like they could do a lot more better things than Take-Two has done. That's my point. That's my final take.
That's your final take. You heard that, Baluba?
hey, Baluba. I hope Microsoft fires your ass too.
Oh, that's aggressive.
There, for him to answer my tweet, I'm gonna do that because.
By the way,
for the record, I don't condone that same statement. So
he doesn't.
All the thoughts are his own.
Thanksgiving and Christmas times around the corner. You trying to have this man collecting unemployment? What you doing?
By the way,
I'm just kidding. They won't.
I don't approve anything that Henry says, and if you want to tweet at Henry, it's at Senpai Says TV on Twitter.
2K support.
All the thoughts are his own.
Fix my man.
He was on that solo.
No, I'm just kidding. Like,
wolf on that one.
They won't fire him. But
right.
I will say this: they will probably not have him do the social media if Microsoft takes over. I don't think he would be fired because he's obviously like one of the lead developers on it.
He saved 2K.
But he will be sort of in a sense fired from probably talking on social media, because technically when you have a Microsoft company, like if you're part of the Microsoft branch, technically Microsoft already has those PR guys that do that. So technically in that sense, he can have a social media, but he probably won't be able to answer like questions in the game or anything like that. You probably have to go through like third party. So let me rephrase that. I just don't like that he doesn't answer fans' tweets, because not only my concerns, everybody else's.
Senpai Says TV.
When we're on Xbox later and y'all try to play 2K and his shit crash, we know
your player's been deleted.
Actually, no. Speaking of crashing,
start over.
Speaking of crashing, that's why I had to update mine, because it did crash the other day. So let's not even get into that.
2K support gonna send that hack over there. Secret update just for Senpai.
So let me just close out by saying I recently submitted a ticket to 2K support.
Oh, God.
So Richard, if you're listening to me, I don't support anything that Henry says. I need your help.
2K.
Richard at 2K support, I still need your help.
You're pleading out to somebody for 2. Yeah. Oh my God. So okay with you.
All right. So Pete, you got a closing thought?
Nah, I'm good. I'm good. Let's just wrap it up before anything else comes under fire. I got to turn my camera off and
2K
go
chat is going
ghost.
crazy on the phone right now.
It's all love. It's
They
all
like
love.
send me the address. We send the FBI over
It's all love.
there.
We still like the game.
address?
We're just four passionate people that like to play sports games and talk sports.
Oh my goodness.
Just hopefully you listen to your fans more in both leagues and do what you got to do.
Oh no!
All right, look.
And Richard, answer Soto's ticket.
Please. You have to have the please because
we're gonna have to
you seem like
some
you
people talk
demanding
nice to the devs.
For the love of God, answer his damn ticket, please.
No, he answered. He was like, as a matter of fact, just real quick.
Oh my God.
You didn't get the refresh the cache and all that.
Yeah,
You didn't get that answer.
No, he said, oh, okay, hold on. Got it right here real quick. He said, okay. So he said, I'm so sorry to hear this is still an issue for you. I would also be upset if I had the same issue. So I completely understand and wanted to thank you for being so patient and understanding. Oh, okay, whatever. According to the information I've got, the developers are already aware of this issue of yours and are currently looking into it. All right, since September.
We'll keep you updated. Please look at 2K support forums.
Okay,
Yup.
so now,
and please
now
make sure you pre-order NBA 2K23.
Now I'm
Yeah,
gonna get
so
mad.
hopefully it will be addressed soon. However, we do not have,
It won't be
no.
addressed soon. It's been for 2 fucking years. They
Yeah, and then it says, and therefore don't have a timeline on when a fix will be implemented. As
Keep
soon
an
as
eye on
that
social media.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Yep.
So
The standard byline that goes after all of them.
Yeah.
I get lucky only because I know, obviously, you were the dev, so mine kind of bypasses some of the stuff, but at the same time, it's not going to make it any quicker to go through because they have to go through like a vetting process and all that stuff. But like,
I know it's a process.
Some of the main issues that like are out there, they are aware. It's just a matter of like the Xbox thing. No matter what Microsoft wants to say, it's on Microsoft.
I think it's on both of them. I think it's 50-50 because I think Microsoft sort of lied about it and deflected it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think 2K needs to better beta test their game to make sure that doesn't happen. Because if they're able to test the game out and say, hey, you're this crashing in our thing, what can we do? But a quick fix for that and 2K just.
I'm not gonna blame anybody, but
note.
Henry wants some names. Henry wants to know who's responsible.
Take note. It's ray tracing. It's ray tracing. For a fact, I used to have the Xbox turn it off problem when I used to play Call of Duty Cold War. When I turned off ray tracing, it fixed the whole problem. So I think what it comes down to is I think these video games, I know granted ray tracing makes the game look better, but put the option in there for you to turn on or turn off ray tracing. If it's messing up your Xbox, give those people the option to play the game without the ray tracing. And you fix the problem without having people to send their Xbox in, having to curse you out in the forums, say Ronnie 2K, fire Ronnie 2K when he has nothing to do with the game. And I'll say that again, He has nothing to do with the game. He's a social media ambassador. All he does is promote the game. That's all he does.
And that's the thing I want to say. So a lot of people comment under like Beluba, which is Mike Wang, like obviously he's in charge of gameplay, but he does not. He helps create the motion and do the different things and makes decisions on dribbling and stuff. But at the same time, like the upper suits are making the decision based on the numbers and how they're tailored.
Correct.
Because small peek behind the curtain, they have like basically data diagnostic that's automatic, and they have someone that does quality control that goes behind that sees all the different modes, what people are playing, what style the people are playing as far as what builds they make, all of that stuff. Yeah, and then that determines what goes in and out.
Yep.
So like some of the stuff like my stuff's going to be more roster related stuff. That's going to have a lower tag tier than somebody that's saying, all right, well, this particular build's too overpowered. This, like, we're spam dribbling doing this, and this, because people that are roster first people are the hardcore sim guys. They're not paying microtransactions, and things like that are helping the revenue. Because you have to remember, anyone that's contracted by 2K that's not officially hired by Visual Concepts or Take-Two is on a contractor status. And that contractor status is paid out of those microtransactions. So if those players aren't playing the My Team and the all that, the park and getting all those extra incentives, then they can't pay those extra people, which means you've got the 100 and so devs and engineers that are the core guys working 4 or 5 different jobs. And then you wonder why there's bugs all throughout, because they can't get to everything and do it all, because they're people too, just like us. Like, they go home to families and,
Correct.
all that.
That's all understandable. I mean, just for me, it's just like, if you have an issue where people buy your game, and that's my gripe.
Careful, Henry.
No. I'm not saying it. This is my gripe. You spend $100. People spend $100 on the game, depending to get the best edition, and you can't play your damn game because your Xbox keeps crashing. As Microsoft and 2K, they both need to come together and say, how can we fix this solution to
instead
make it
of that's them or
that's them. Yeah, exactly. That's the point. I'm not trying to badmouth both of them, because I play religiously and I'm not gonna stop playing it. But my thing is, as a person that buys a game and a fan and everything like that, and this is sports in general, you're gonna sell a product. You want people to be able to play it, have fun, and not have to worry about their Xbox turning off or sending their Xbox in for 10 days and then getting another one back. The same thing happened over, or having to get a refund for a game that you saved up for weeks for, and then when you wind up not playing it. Our friend Jared, who he was on the podcast here, or whatnot, he has not been able to play, and this is me playing, has not been able to play 2K for 2 years. His Xbox literally shuts off, and all he does is get the robotic responses.
We'll take like this 2K, we'll talk about this 2K, but ever since this 2K came out, like either a rec session or park, as soon as he plays like in the middle of the game, boom, his Xbox shuts off completely. And I'm going through the same thing, because in the beginning, like in the first couple of weeks, I had that problem. I submitted a ticket to 2K, and I also called Microsoft. So that was that. And then after I went through that, like for a good 2-3 weeks, I was good to go. Like I could play anything, but just up until like last week, it started again. So I don't know if it's like a specific update that's triggering it. Like I really don't know what the problem is.
So, and this is the part I love about this podcast. Before we end it, is we all have different points of view. Obviously, sometimes I get the hot takes and I get the comedic takes. I know. I go in those places.
You like barber at the barbershop takes.
Yeah, but seriously, all jokes aside, like I'm just passionate, and I don't want anybody to lose their job, but I want people to do their job the correct way, because that's how I was always taught and always raised and always told things. Like if your fans are clamoring to you to fix something in the game that was touched, or they're saying their Xbox is messed up, or this and that, how about taking the time to address a tweet, address a thing? If they're respectful in a tone, they're not cursing you out, saying F you, this and that.
Yeah, but think about it from their standpoint. If we address this one person and the 15,000 other tweets that came through, we didn't address that. Like,
if it's a legit
they're going to say
tweet,
we didn't get paid attention to. But you may feel it's a legit tweet. But if they take it back and say, "All right, so and so two tiers above me," and in the corporate setting, like where your hands are tied. Like, for example, so Czar obviously was huge on social media with the defense and stuff like that to begin the year, and then all of a sudden that patch came out and the defense broke. And people are like, "Oh, he disappeared. Like he's not there." That's not really kind of what happened. That's more. You don't know. Like
that's more the
he's over there sitting on his hands. Like, what did y'all do?
That's more
like he's not doing. I don't think he would be happy with where it's going. But what if people don't think about the what if scenario? What if the higher up said, "Okay, the defense is too tight. What if that's hurting the park mode?" So then he had to dial it back. I'm just using a what if scenario. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah,
but like. What if you had to dial it back? And he's like, well, damn, like I just screwed over all the sim guys to make these guys happy. I can't show my face like showing up with this because I know it's going to be like, and then you're kind of mentally exhausted. But as a dev, you can't say that. Like you can't say this is crap. Like I had this built this way and they changed it. Like they don't understand that.
People forget. I think sometimes people forget that the devs, they put a lot of effort and a lot of energy. They want the game to be good. It's literally something that they're creating.
I'm saying have the algorithm, like Pete said earlier, they have like a little thing that they could tell things. Have the algorithm. If somebody's asking the same question a different way, just pick a random person and address the question. And at least if these XYZ, let's say you get like 100 people asking the same question, but asking a different way, shorter, longer, more elaborate, whatever it may be, but at least address like certain questions that are pertaining to issues with the game, like itself, like gameplay, or systems. Like, give an answer. Don't give like a robotic response or not talk about it. I think like that goes for like the NBA. Like sometimes when things like the whole Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving drama, like Adam Silver came out and said, would I have preferred, he did the right thing. He said, would I have preferred Kyrie Irving to get vaccinated and maybe have a max mandate for the players? Absolutely. But he did it. But like he went out in front of it and said it, but also kept it neutral. Didn't say he wanted Kyrie. He said he wanted Kyrie too, but he respects his decision. Like if they came out and said something like along the lines of, we see that this is affecting the game or something is going on. Let us take a look at it and see what's going on. We'll get back to you. Like, it doesn't have to be like addressing every single tweet, every single person does, but at least addressing the issue that you see that there's people complaining to you, telling you things to give you suggestions, tips, how to fix your game or make things better. Then at least take it into consideration.
That's on the president.
What if they
like CJ Project Red did when CJ Project Red dropped Cyberpunk and it was in a horrible state? Everybody was going on Twitter and blaming the devs. And then eventually it put the pressure on the president of the company to come out and say, okay, we know that these issues need to be addressed and this is what we're going to do. And then that's when CJ Project Red released a whole plan on the patches that were going to release throughout the year to fix the game. And then when the DLC content is going to be coming out. So they literally pushed back the DLC content a year to give themselves a full year to fix the bugs that were wrong with the game. So
see, that's what I would like.
The project, but that's not the devs. That's got to be the president.
And the president's not going to come because they switched.
I was going to say that he's not going to do it.
The brothers switched, so it's the Thomas brothers. I believe Greg is now the one that's in charge, and his brother was previously in charge, and he stepped down last year to retire. Greg took over. Greg is more the basketball-oriented guy, things like that. But at the same time, if you're a president, like you're not making a final decision either because you have a boardroom full of people that you have to answer to.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, like it has to be a collective decision. And honestly, they're going to go with the mode that makes them the most money because any company is going to do that, whether you think that's selfish or not. And then at the end of the day, what if a dev came out, like let's say, for example, Mike Wayne comes out and he says, all right, I saw these 5 issues. Like I'll answer these. We're going to work on those, whatever. What if he goes back to
he does a poll, like he does a little indirect poll about it.
What if they go back to the drawing board and they go to fix it and an engineer says, all right, I've been working so hard on this, but I can't fix it without implementing this new tech that we have to have built. What if that takes a whole nother year and it sits? Then people are going to be like, damn, you took our concerns. You just didn't address them, and it opens up a whole new argument. So it's kind of like they stay silent because you can't make promises that you may not be able to keep. So in my opinion, I would rather them not say anything until a patch comes out and they say it's fixed. Now, if a patch comes out and it's not fixed, then that's where you can go back and say, hey, it's still showing these things in the patch. 2K support, it did not fix. Here's a video that I recorded because on Xbox and PlayStation, you can record pretty easy. Record it with proof, have dialogue talking through it, like showing examples of what the bug is.
Right.
And then, things like that. And people don't do that. They're just like, fix your effing game, and leave it at that. Why do I need to contact 2K Support? All I get is this generic message. And it's like, all 2K Support is somebody that's sitting either in Las Vegas or California or in another country, depending on where they're coming out of. And they're basically reading off a script of, here we got this, and then this is what we have to do. If you complain too much, we might give you 15,000 BC if you're coming with too many issues, and that's supposed to, give you a little pat on the head and, move along, but like that's the result. But that's any company. Amazon does it. Like I've had to return stuff and they'll say, oh, well, we'll set this up. And I'm like, or I had a delivery not show up. And I'm like, well, I'm not paying for something that I didn't get. And they're like, well, that's UPS. And I say, no, but you guys stand behind using UPS as a carrier. And they're like, oh, no, like you've been an Amazon customer since 2005. We're going to give you a credit of $15. And I'm like, you got to say, okay, well, that's great. Like, exactly. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, you're not going to boycott the company. Like everybody that says, oh, I'm going to boycott 2K and not play it, they're the first in line next year to have that receipt showing on social media, that Instagram picture. Look at this.
I didn't actually, believe it or not.
I didn't buy it this year.
I
did stick to that.
I didn't pay for 2K this year. I used my Microsoft points to buy it, so I didn't really buy it this year. So I can't really say I bought it, but I have it. And like I said, I do like it. I do like certain aspects of it. I did the Microsoft rewards. So when you buy certain things and you hit certain rewards, you get points for free. So technically, I use that to buy the game without actually using my
Nah,
cash.
I'm only laughing because fucking Soto did the Russell Westbrook meme.
No.
Like what?
What?
It's more for Keem. Keem really didn't buy it, but that's another story for another day.
I'm retired. But that was Henry's segment of at Beluba. Please respond to my tweets. What to you about the Sounds of the Hardwood podcast? But
How about 2K respond and fix everybody's Xboxes and everything else going on too, in general. Just general plea, just to listen to your fans more. That's my general plea.
And also, just real quick, our condolences to Ernie Johnson, who his son,
good point. I forgot about that. Good point.
Yeah, his son passed away. So,
Damn. I saw a powerful thing that Ernie Johnson did about the speech he gave at the college to the college kids, and he talks about his son, like he adopted him, and they told him not to. Oh my God, that's terrible. Definitely my condolences.
Yeah.
So we closed on a serious note there. I didn't even see that yet. So thank you for letting us know that, Soto.
Yeah.
On a less serious note, just to close. So, I know you'll be happy when Russell Westbrook can stop bricking shots and turning the ball over. The two Nick guys on here will be happy whenever they can keep winning, and I'll just be happy when we see a Ben Simmons trade. So,
and I'll be
I
happy.
think that pretty much sums up.
And Keem will be happy
that pretty much sums up everybody.
when Russell Westbrook doesn't wind up on the wrong side of history with a quadruple double.
And Spurs keep losing. Fight for that number one pick.
Yeah, I had them in the play-in too, and I'm
glad they beat the Lakers. They almost beat the Lakers. The Lakers then lost to the
Murray has looked good though.
Yeah, he has. Murray and Porto have looked good, and the guy that Soto likes, I can't remember his name.
Keldon Johnson.
Yeah, there you go. So that brings us to the end of this season. So we at the end, right, Henry?
Yes, we're at the end.
We're at the end. Okay. I'm making
No
sure.
more
I just want to make sure. Sometimes you be catching me with the pump fake jab step rip through, and then you just go into something I ain't prepared for that.
Now we good.
So, like always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you missed any parts of our podcast, you can search it on our YouTube channel, Sounds of the Hardwood. We also put an audio version of the podcast up on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and Spotify.
Knicks need to retire that Bing Bong. No more of that. Retire it.
See, I don't be paid for nothing. So I knew somebody was going to do it, right? Somebody's going to have a last minute one. But you can hit the outro on this, Henry. We done.
All right. I'm gonna do since Keem don't say it. Lakers in 5.
Oh my God.
When?
How you?